As I mentioned in prior exercise, creating walls inside of Revit MEP is not something you'll probably do on a very common basis. However, in certain instances, you may have to create these so that you can better document your designs if you're lacking architectural models. Let's take a look at how we can create these walls. Please notice that I've gone ahead and set up a view. In this case, it's a coordination view that's set up with a subdiscipline of architectural. The way I've done this is by coming over in the view. I simply duplicated a view earlier from another view and then set the discipline to coordination and then built a new subdiscipline just by typing in the name architectural so that I could properly categorize it inside of my project browser. Now the main reason again that I've done that is so that when in a coordinated view I can actually create and then select the architectural elements that I've created. Let's tell it that we'd like to create a wall. Creating walls in Revit MEP is pretty simple. Let's take a look at the different areas of the screen that we need to focus on. At the top of the screen, we have our basic shapes for walls. These can be straight, they could be curved. We could use the pick line tool to be able to trace over perhaps an AutoCAD drawing that was imported so that we could create those three-dimensional walls very quickly. We do need to specify the height or the depth of the wall. In this case, I'm going to tell it that I'd like the wall to go up and stop at level 2. The next thing that we need to focus on is what part of the wall we're going to be using for our location line, or you could call this a justification line. We'll notice that we have numerous different locations within or on the wall that we can be able to specify for where, when we click the 2 points on the screen, Revit actually creates the geometry. We'll notice that if I do wall centerline, let me go ahead and zoom in, that the wall is now centered on the 2 points where I'm clicking. I'll go ahead and press escape, and then if I go ahead and do finish face exterior and then start drawing the wall, we'll notice that the wall is now justified on a given side. If that's not the side that I need the wall to be justified on, I can hit the space bar and we'll notice that it just simply flips the wall. So this makes it very easy for us to specify given locations, in this case the finish face exterior, to be able to put those in. Now notice as I'm creating this geometry, just like all tools inside of Revit MEP, temporary dimensions begin appearing. These temporary dimensions allow me to specify given distances. So rather than moving my cursor to a given location, of course, I can just type the distance and it automatically puts it in for me. Once the walls have been created, it's as simple as selecting it and then being able to use the temporary dimensions to control lengths. Please notice that we can now take these temporary dimensions and modify what they're in reference to. Here I've selected this wall. If I'd like it to be a given distance from another wall instead, I can use the temporary dimensions by dragging the blue dots to a new location and then specifying exactly where something needs to be in the design. So just like all objects inside of Revit, we have the ability to select and then use temporary dimensions to control the geometry or the location of the geometry relative to other objects in the design. And this is incredibly powerful, allowing us to be able to create designs that we can then very easily edit. So this is going to allow you as a designer to sketch things approximately where you want them to be, and then using temporary dimensions control exactly where we want them to go. Please don't forget that as we're creating the walls, or later, once we select the wall, we do have the ability to change the types, and then any information that's specific to that particular object, in this case, the instance properties. We also, just like anything in Revit, when we select an object, have the ability by looking at the properties bar, or the ribbon bar at the top of the screen, the ability to do